Okay, let's review this game. Sonoy has turned in his fake internet points on my channel to get me to review what I assume is a turn zero game. Let's jump into this. Sonoy is black. Trouble in Terrorist Town. Good game, man. It's a good game. We are the terrorists now. Always have been. Yeah, pretty much. Yes against Gord. Okay, so we are reviewing for the stream this game between Sonoy and Gord. Let's see how this goes. All right, let's just jump into it. Knight f3 right off the bat, knight f6. I always have trouble reading this notation, like the 5D PGN, because it says where the piece is at first and then where it moves to, which I get is convenient for, you know, like software implementation of like importing the game, like to chess in 5D or whatever, but it does really mess me up when I read. It's just like redundant information. Anyway, knight f3, knight f6. Discord. You can make it more readable. Oh, we'll just work with it right now. All right, d4, d5. Oh, a d4, d5 game submitted for review. Never mind. This game took a quick turn. A4. A4. Can you guys believe this? A4. A4. Okay. What? Why? Why would you play A4? All right. Why would we play A4? I mean, A4 is an option. A4 was one of the first when the F7 sack was first sort of exploded onto the scene. You know, back in the before 4 times, the dark age. He kept saying this is safe. This was one of the primary people were like, how do we stop, you know, the F7 sack? Oh, this is how we do it. It's not actually a big deal because you can just play A4, A5. And I remember Lexi getting so triggered because people were, when we were first having these conversations, they were like, F7 sack's not a problem because you can just play A4, A5. People were like, what the fuck? Lexi was like, what the fuck are you talking about? If you play A4, A5, if you play knight F3, A4, A5, then you've lost the game. I mean, it was, at that point, it was regular standard. So actually it was, you know, knight F6, A5, A4, but you get the idea. It was only black who had to worry about the sack. No, this would just trigger him to no end. But I mean, it works, right? Because here it's not that you're defending against the sack, because by playing knight f3 d4, you have covered against the f7 sack, right? So the next move is obviously c3 here, because you don't want to lose. You have to cover the triagonal, right? And so the purpose of this move is it locks in, if the c pawn is moved for black the next turn, it locks in a5, because otherwise you lose immediately on the spot, right? Well, I mean, okay, I guess that's not strictly true, because you can move this pawn, and then like the bishop could come out, and then you could pull your queen out here, and there isn't a way with this current setup to actually take advantage of that. So it doesn't necessarily. There are other ways to, you know, to cover this. Like if this e pawn had been moved, then, you know, there's like the shutting the door technique or whatever, where queen's out here and then bishop out here and then bishop here is still mate. But as of right now, or even if you move, if the c pawn had somehow like already been moved and you could push like b5, then you could do queen out and then b4 would be mate or whatever. Something like that. But anyway, the plan here is likely to go, you know, this obviously covers the triagonal anyway. That's what you want to do. Not that it's much of a problem, because the mating square isn't super accessible for white. You have to push the c pawn and this a pawn again. But the plan's probably a5 here, right? So let's see what happens. Lexi getting triggered are such nice memories. I do it, fond memories for sure. Let's get back to the game. Okay, why would you do this? Change it to hot tubs in before first 5D chess hot tub stream. All right, okay, listen. A4. Why? The only answer, because you can. not because you should. There is a bit of a like a Jurassic Park. What's his name? What's the actor? Oh my God, who's that famous fucking actor? You spent so long considering whether you could. You know, you never stop to think whether or not you should. Oh my God, my brain. I've been forgetting a lot of names lately. Jeff Goldblum. Yes. This is the Jeff Goldblum sentiment here. Why would you ever do this? Okay, give me 10 seconds to seriously consider whether or not this is there's any justification to doing this. It loses tempo developing a pawn on the far queen side, which is probably not where you're applying pressure anyway, especially when you close the center like this, right? I mean, you're gonna have to address this anyway. I mean, you can't, it's just not, let's call it suboptimal for aforementioned reasons. Oh, Jesus. Did I say that? Because that's kind of brilliant. I watched this game live. I think Gumbygord said it was a joke opening. It's, yeah, something like that. Didn't you say that before? Romad. Oh, the puns. We got to get a move on. Listen, okay. I presume C6. Am I correct? A4 comes out. C6. A5 comes out. Which makes sense. Okay, so now obviously this mate is no longer an option. The rook is covering. Why would you do this? Because you can. No better reason. I can't think of a better reason. How would you take advantage of this? Okay, you see this as black. Seriously now. You see this as black. How do you take advantage of this? Honestly, the answer might just be you do anything, right? You don't have to, there isn't like a weakness that this is exploiting in terms of like positionally on the board so much as the weakness is the loss in tempo, right? Because this structure, this London-esque structure is exactly what black wanted to do anyway. I guess you might call this like a Caro-Kann structure, actually. It's not against d4, but whatever. A French structure, I guess. Okay. I think the answer here is that you develop, and I mean, this really doesn't provide. The other thing is that it weakens, if you do like a queen out here at some point, suddenly this is a square that white has to worry about, right? B4 is mate. And then you got to waste a turn doing this, which you would do anyway. And suddenly these two pawn pushes, these are like the least two ineffectual pawn pushes you could possibly. If you open the standard opening, knight f3, knight f6, d4, d5, c3, c6, bishop f4, bishop f5, right? If there were any two pawns that you could push from that position that were the least, like, if there was any one pawn you could push twice, like the bottom of the list for how effectual that would be to the game, good or bad, it would probably be the A pawn. Genuinely. There's just no... So this is pretty... I mean, it's not like... White's still probably ahead, don't get me wrong. But it's not... It's just not good. I think his point was my queen is so mobile now. Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? My queen is so mobile now, pushing the A pawn. Rook can develop, though? Okay. Rook can develop is genuinely underrated in 5D chess, I will say this. The one player that I've heard time and time again in his personal analysis sort of merit structures and exchanges that enable the rook to come out a little bit earlier than it would in like a regular game is Lexi. Whenever there's like a queen trade, and then like either the G pawn or like the H pawn is opened up or whatever, Lexi always emphasizes that, the opening up or the half opening up of the G or H file or the A or B file or whatever for the rook is like a genuine, is like a boon for that player. And which is why the player who is being sacrificed on is generally advantageous, For example, if you've got like the queen out, and then trades or whatever, that sort of position. I mean, the bishop sack in the past to recapture is like another story. But anyway, I'm digressing at this point. Not only has he just said that his words aren't empty, I've seen him in a few games against Andre and against Dreamer in the past really sort of put that to good use. I like never expect the rook to come out when he pulls it out, and it's always actually just a really great tool. So we'll see. Yeah, so rook can develop, though, I think is genuinely a thing. I'll need to go buy some stuff before store closed for 2 days. See you later. All right, catch you later, Roma. Thanks for hopping in and saying hi. How do I keep forgetting that Monday is free? I got reminded like 3 times today. What's Monday in Germany? What do you guys got going on? Let's move along. We gotta get to the end of this game. I mean, I'm enjoying the analysis, but okay. Bishop f5, bishop f4. This is exactly what I would do. Develop naturally. There are gonna be opportunities where you take advantage of the tempo loss. Sometime. White is now down a tempo, and it's not that big a deal, but I think it's fine. It's Pfingstmontag. What does that mean? Monday is fun day. Thank you, Dave, for your contribution. F4. F4. What do you do here? This is always an inflection point in these knight f3 d4 games. It means it's free. Okay, but is there like an occasion, or is it just like this is the day that it is optimal in the calendar for us to have like a free day? Okay, all right, listen. Bishop f4, bishop f5. This is an inflection point for games that I find in this structure. I'm always really curious to see where it goes from here. Some people will develop the knight. Some people will frappuccino the bishop. Some people will pull out the other knight, like move it forward. I tend to, especially once this bishop comes out, I tend to enjoy this move, kicking the bishop. In this case, doubly good, because if you actually trade on the square and the queen goes here, then you're threatening mate, and also pushing on the king side with tempo, right? So I think that a no-brainer move in this position for black is e6, preparing bishop d6. This is what I would rattle off immediately in this position. Let's see what happened in the game. Public holiday in Germany. Well, enjoy. Good stuff. What is played? Bishop f4, knight e4. Aggro. A critical approach. I think that move is fine. I think that probably... I mean, it lands white in a little bit of trouble here. Potentially? Because this pawn hasn't been pushed. So there isn't like a move that you can make that defends f7, like a queen over or anything like that. I think a not fantastic move is something like... Actually, I think that bishop back here to defend f7 or f2 in this situation maybe rather could be fine. I think that the problem, no matter what happens here, this knight's probably gonna sack, right? That's a bit of an issue, because if you recapture in this position, well, e6 hasn't been pushed yet, so it takes black a little while to follow up on the attack after this sack. Maybe kick the knight now is probably a good move for white. I think either defending f2 or just kicking the knight immediately is good. Hard to tell. Alternatively, you could do something like h4 or maybe g3, because what you want to prevent is, you know, some sort of, I mean, the bishop isn't set up to sacrifice against this knight, right? But this is a super common trap. It's like knight here, and then, you know, you sort of trade on f3 or whatever, get the knight out of the way, and then you pull the queen out, and then you sack 2 turns in the past when this knight was looking at that pawn and his mate or whatever, right? And so, like, to avoid something like that, you could always do something like this or something like this to avoid, I mean, you want to cover h4 against the queen coming in. So lots of candidate moves here. I think they're all holding. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Let's keep it going. What happens? 94, e3. E3 is sensible. Wouldn't be my first choice. Wouldn't be my first choice of move. But probably after knight takes... I think black needs just a little bit extra to materialize this attack here. Right? The sack on f2 right now. How do you follow up as black? Knight takes f2, king takes f2. You haven't pushed e6. So you can't, your bishop's not out. Your other bishop can't Tchaikovsky because there's a bishop on g1 defending the g2 pawn. I mean, I guess there's no reason that this knight can just chill here, right? I mean, I guess e3 is nice because there is no follow-up right now. If you play like bishop g4 wanting to sack here, then the queen just recaptures. And then there isn't too much issue. Although maybe it's nice to get the queen out of... Maybe you can sort of like push this pawn and then orient your pieces onto the queen side. But that's also difficult to navigate. I don't know. It's an interesting position. Comes up very rarely. I think e3 here is played in the game. And then knight f2 happens. Ballsy. I respect this immensely. I don't know if it's good. I suspect that it is not good in this position. Yet. Like, I think that if e6 is pushed, then it gets a lot better. The other thing is you can't really mobilize these pieces because if you do, you give white the sack and you don't have e6 pushed. You don't have, you know, your bishop frappuccinoed. You don't have... So it's dangerous. White recaptures, which I think is the right move. And e6 is pushed now. Okay. Let's consider our resources. Let's consider our resources here. This is a bit trappy. This is a bit trappy because if now after, I don't know what white will do next. But now if you like bishop out here trades queen takes, then you're actually still in time to catch black off. Ooh, excuse me. You're actually still in time to sneak in a quick queen b4 mate, like on the last turn, right? Am I wrong about that? Let's see. So you have to get there on not this next turn, so it'll take 1, 2, 3 turns. Oh no, I think you had to do it this turn. Okay, you're one turn too late. You're one turn too late, actually. So I take that back. If e6 was played earlier, and this turn you could play bishop d6, that would be good. But that's exactly what I'm saying. I think it might have been like a turn too early. But I mean, I don't. Yeah, I know. It's such an OP word, exactly. As black, you have to take advantages where you can find them, right? You're behind the tempo, so if you have the opportunity to sort of posture yourself as the aggressor, you go for it. Which is why I understand. I understand this line of gameplay. I think that as black, Sonoy's head is totally in the right place. This is like super strong, but just like tactically, I think sort of the resources have been appropriated in a marginally untimely way, if that makes sense. I think that the tactical consideration, there's just like, you need just a little bit more gas, which I know, I mean, you're really trigger happy as black, right? You're like, okay, where's my opportunity? I'm gonna go, boom. And we already gained a tempo advantage here. Black is basically white, right? If you consider how useless a4 a5 was. Yeah. Well, for me, stream paused for a bit and played him fast forward. It looked hilarious. Glad I could provide you this entertainment, Andrew. What can I say? That's content. Okay, let's keep going. At this rate, we're never gonna finish this fucking game. Okay, e6, h4. h4 makes sense. Why? Cover preventing the queen from getting in, right? You know, you want shenanigans. You want to lock it down. And I mean, this pawn is going to play a crucial role in poking the structure a little bit later. h4. a4 h4 crab, yeah, something like that. They didn't happen at once, but there is a bit of a crab-esque shape to this position. Okay. Where are we going from here? Okay, what do you do here as black? Well, let's just see what happened. Bishop b4. Interesting. What's the plan here? At this stage, you have to start to get nervous as black. Crab with a knife. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, seeing that this went from, okay, you know, sort of preemptive strike, but maybe you can still like build up some ideas, to, okay, now this is incredibly uncomfortable. Why? This pawn's already pushed. These pieces are in the game. Knight g5 is something that black can't easily answer. So knight f7 is coming soon. And with no pawn guarding the... I've said this before and I'll say it again. The kingside bishop in 5D chess does so much work on its home square that it is somewhat natural to not give it enough respect. And indeed, I think that that's what happens all the time. This bishop holds down the position like so much more than you realize, especially when you've traded away some of your resources on the king side. Like, we don't have that knife. That knight is as much it's like a wall, right? Like it prevents white from moving in as much as it is your own tool to like aggress, right? And suddenly I think that the tables have turned. I think that the fight was a little premature. The attack happened before we had enough fuel, and now we're sort of out of gas, I think. Knife f5, Ben Feingold, something like that. Okay. So what does this actually do? What are our ideas? I mean, pawn out, knight out, knife out. I don't know what this is threatening. Obviously, this guy's covered. Do we have meaningful travels? Not super convincing. Getting a bishop here isn't worth timeline advantage, right? I can't see what... I think that this move is a waste of tempo, because this is a move that you probably want to make anyway as white. Or, I mean, obviously activate the knight. And then if you trade, well, white's up material anyway. So I think that this might be this might be the beginning of the end for black. This puts a huge hole in his structure. Like, knight g5 here is going to be devastating. It's just no bueno. That's just really scary. And then after something like this, it's so easy to replace this knight with this knight. And then how does black ever get into the king side anyway? This is super scary. This is super scary. Let's see how the game plays out. C3 comes out. We expected. C3 is the most... I mean, it has to go answer. Basically, it forces black to lose a tempo or a piece. And I think that neither are worth. So this is the appropriately critical response. Okay. Bishop a5. I see. I'm not sure that I agree, but certainly I now understand the idea. The idea is you tempt this exchange, which you can pick back up, and then hopefully that creates like an opening in the position that you can then capitalize on to sort of infiltrate, the it's gonna sound infiltrate the backside of the white player is what I was about to say, and I stand by it. Okay, I see now. Honestly, I think that you can probably just take here. I think that tempting the black queen out in this direction, what do you do? This exchange has happened, right? And then what's your game plan as black? You can't, the queen can't win the game on its own. It can come back and like threaten this pawn, right? But if this next turn, as soon as this queen does this, you pull this knight back, you're probably safe, man. Or I mean, pull the queen forward, or anything like that, because look at what the black no longer has any defensive resources on the king side, right? Like this was the last piece. Like, yes, you have to look for an opening when you're down, like positionally, but I think that this sacrifices material that black simply didn't have to spare. And I think that I think you might just be a little fucked here. How do you apply knight g5? At this point, white can sack like one or two pieces on the king side and be totally fine. I just don't see how you get in there. Even with something like a time travel, there's just too many pieces and too much distance between the vulnerable squares and where the white king currently is. I don't see it happening. Okay. I think this trade doesn't actually happen though. Fascinatingly. Oh, queen b3 happens. Okay. I can't say that I agree. I mean, this kind of makes this trade a little bit safer for white, I guess, because it's more difficult for, because this trade happens for black. Let's lock this in. This trade happens for black now, and how do they get in, right? But I don't think it's necessary. I think that this queen is going to play a direct role in just collapsing the king side. See how mobile the white queen is? Yeah, but the white queen can already get this pawn does nothing. This pawn push with the classical London structure. Look at the pawns. Like, it's not like this a pawn was preventing white from getting in, right? There's no point to it. It's wasted. The queen's just as mobile as it would have been before. So I definitely don't agree with that. But I mean, the queen, I think, is much like it's going to hold down the fort over here. You don't have to worry about that. And after something like knight out here, the queen is how you win the game. Queen is how you win the game. That's how I feel. The queen allows you to kick the bishop here with this bishop. The queen lets you hop in here and like force pawn pushes after this knight is out here. You win with the queen. So I think that this is unnecessary. But, playing safe. Really wanted to play queen b3, but that damn pawn on a2. Please input skill. My thoughts exactly. That was the joke, I guess. I understand. Okay. It was tongue-in-cheek. Right. No, that makes sense. White king is bonk-clouded, though. You're not wrong. Random question. Do you lines plus turns mate plan often? I'm not sure what you're asking me. So anyway. Bishop c2 ideas are interesting. Let's check it out. Bishop c2 ideas. Bishop c2 ideas are interesting. I agree with that. I wasn't worried about it before because there was no way that this queen was ever going to get kicked off of d1, right? And suddenly by moving this queen out here, I don't know how you'd do it. I guess you'd propose the trade, right? As black, you probably go queen b6 here. Tempt the trade. See, that's the other... Why would you... Why? Why would you do this? Why Why would you move the queen? It's undefended. You've got to either lose a tempo moving it back, or go for the trade yourself. At which point there's actually a mate threat here now. It's not good. Do you plan turns and lines even diagonal, but just visualize the checking board in a busy board game? Like, do you do it regularly? Do you plan turns and line even diagonal, but just visualize the checking board in a busy board game? Void, I think I'm not quite lucid enough to understand what it is that you're asking, and I apologize because I want to answer your question. But if you could maybe rephrase it for me a third time, my smooth brain would be thankful. Okay, anyway. What do black do? Well spotted, Narik. Yeah, whenever, I mean, this is like key. When a piece moves, you have to consider this is like basic 2D analysis flowchart, right? What squares are weakened? How is the position changed? Yeah, this is an undefended queen, and this is an undefended, that's now vulnerable to something like this. And now this actually becomes mate, so we'll see what happens. Okay, let's move on. I will be pleased if queen b6 happens here. Where are we? b5. Okay. Not quite. Not quite. What's the idea here, I wonder? I mean, you are now... I don't like this move. I don't like this move because... Okay, I mean, you are now projecting to the opponent that you're going to be probing the queen side pawn structure, right? But what's the actual threat? Also, in all of these, I have so much... I mean, it only took a few games of getting absolutely destroyed, but there is a weakness that is often overlooked in the sort of London-esque structure here, where if this pawn right here, or in the opposite case, this pawn, the queen side, the c pawn, is at any point ever defended singly, like for example with the knight or some, the knight moves or something, like that, or in this case, if the b pawn moves, then if you can get a sack onto this square with the queen, if there's another piece staring it down, then you're fucked because it's mate, right? So like if there's like a bishop here or something, and then you sack onto this square with a queen, or the other way around, if you like sack, you have to have a queen looking at it and another piece attacking it that travels. So like if you had a queen here, or like if you traveled a bishop onto here and there was a queen looking at that square or whatever, then it's like check and then takes his mate if it's singly defended, right? It's not, it comes up very often. You're saying it's a lot of ifs, but what I meant is this. If this is singly defended and you feel safe, which happens all the time, like this, I don't know why I'd make this move, but like let's say that you pull this knight over here and then it's on f6 or whatever. All it takes is this is now can be traveled on and you get destroyed, right? And it's not a thing that that you think about in the moment because you're like, oh, it's defended, like whatever. But it's like super vulnerable. You just stick a queen here and you're like, what's that queen doing? Or you stick a queen here, and if you don't immediately defend that pawn again, then you lose in like a turn. That's my point. Like imagine that, right? This position and it's white's turn, except you've got this, instead of pushing the knight, or instead of pushing the pawn, you like push the knight out here or something like that. I mean, here it blocks, so it doesn't actually work. But like if the queen moved here in a position like that and you had a knight on f6 instead of on b8, would you think immediately I have to cover this square again, otherwise I lose the game? Probably not, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's easy to get got. Anyway, I think I belabored that point enough. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So Why is that relevant to this position? Well, probably what black wants to do is like move this pawn again, right? So if this pawn gets moved again, this pawn that I'm talking about here, the c6 pawn, will only be defended by the knight in that structure. So pawn moves up, queen moves here, and then if you're not careful, you get mated. Alternatively, what is more relevant to this position is, I think so, if this happens, this bishop can sack here, right? Bishop sack, pawn take, that's mate. So you got to be careful, because if bishop sack and pawn doesn't take, then the bishop can sack on here the next turn, and then like if the knight takes, suddenly nothing is defending this. So then at that point you can, you know, like travel onto that in the past, and it's like almost mate. Anyway, my point is this. In conclusion, for this turn, this pawn move weakens the structure substantially while not doing enough to attack, you know, this pawn doesn't play a crucial role in any of the plausible attacks that I can determine for black from this position. And as a response to this, I would immediately capture this with this bishop. I'd sack this bishop in any day of the week. Okay. Okay, great. C2 is the plan eventually. C2 is the plan eventually. C2? Oh, yeah. Okay, so Sonoy's letting us know that the plan was eventually bishop C2. Greetings from Occam's razor. Yeah, I see the point. Okay. Yeah, if bishop C2 is the plan, I think that something like this does a lot more to enable that, because this queen's undefended. Anyway, let's keep moving. Maybe knight here then is the move. Something like that. I don't know. Anyway, just seems more forcing. Knight here isn't the move because you lose immediately. Almost immediately. Knight here, queen, exchange. This is mate. Yeah, okay. So knight here isn't the answer. You have to do something else. Let's move on. Wow, this has been slow. Okay. We want to get to the end of this game. Okay, so let's move on. I think that there's a lot of interesting things to be said about this position. I think that I've said almost all of them that I can think of. Oh, where are we at? What turn is this? Okay, queen b3. Oh yeah, queen b3, b5. Oh, okay. Bishop f1 takes b5 does actually happen. Fantastic. Gord spotted this. Queen b6 was strong, actually. Not even clear how to defend. That's what I'm saying, dog. It's almost like I'm doing an analysis here. Andre agrees with me, which is validation. That feels good. Okay. All right. This is great. Look at Gord. Gord knows his shit. Okay. Gord sees this immediately. Can't recapture. Immediate death. Have to defend this. Otherwise, there's a bishop, there's a queen travel onto it, like I just said, right? So if you don't defend here, this is what happens as black. If you don't immediately doubly defend this, this square here, or probably play queen out here like this, which enables the rook to grab the bishop here. You sack with the bishop, and then you play queen out here, and then you travel onto this square where the bishop is attacking it or whatever, something like that. There's a 5D attack there that works. Okay, whatever. This happens. Fantastic. Bishop b5. Okay. We then get bishop e4. This does not redefend that square. This certainly does not redefend that square. What's being threatened here? I don't know. Because you can't travel here. Like, if you go back a turn and capture any of these pieces, they just recapture themselves, right? So you're not threatening a capture. It's not really defending. Let me make sure I got this right. Yeah, bishop f5, e4. I won't is at some point bishop b8 good as well. Bishop b8 is probably good. Yeah, I think that bishop b8 is probably good. Like I said, Black needs to defend this doubly, like immediately. I mean, otherwise you take here and then knight takes here and then queen out here, and then black has to do something to cover this. Otherwise they lose in 2 turns, right? If you do this first, black is fucked. Because black has to recapture it. Otherwise this queen is like time pinned, basically. You take bishop b8, rook takes. I mean, yes, it hits this diagonal. Or sorry, this file. But then queen a4 is a move that you wanted to play anyway. And I think you're probably not too fussed. You probably check here. If like probably as white, what you do is capture here, takes here with check, and then you actually aren't covering the square anymore. You're absolutely fucked. So you got to move, and then recheck again happens, and then move again, and then this becomes mate. Actually, that might be a forced mating sequence. Well, it's not forced because you can do something other than recapture if this happens, right? You do bishop here, and then you could castle, I guess, something like that. But if you don't immediately respond to it, you okay. So we are getting into the territory where white has like mating lines that they can calculate now, and a lot of them focus on just sacking here. Pretty fucked. Okay. So, but there are a lot more turns in this game. I guess the travel probably happens for one side or the other. Let's find out. Okay. So, bishop b4, knight b d2. This seems reasonable, because I mean, realistically, the only place this bishop is going to go, this queen is going to go, is to a4 probably, before it makes mate happen, right? And so knight b d2 is a prophylactic move that prevents bishop c2 from being immediate checkmate. If for any reason you have to move this queen, I respect it. I think you definitely take this knight here probably, and you're safe. But, you know, timed rated match, you want to play knight b d2. It's not like the highest tempo move, but black is in a pretty bad position anyway. It's responsible. I think that's a good move. It might even be forced. I don't know. I just didn't. I don't know if there's a way to kick the queen at this stage off of that diagonal. But it makes sense. Prophylactic, knight b d2. Okay. And then knight b d7. Necessary. Necessary, but dangerous. This is good because this bishop can no longer sack here. It's good because it closes the triagonal here, which is crucial. That is the source of many of white's victories. This is also, those are the opportunities that you also give up by playing knight b d2. So it's a trade-off for sure, but this is probably a good move. This is probably like one of the only moves in the position. I think that black has to do this, otherwise they lose. Makes sense. Fantastic. What that does do is undefend this pawn. It's less of a big deal because, again, that triagonal is now covered, but this is what happens. We have knight d7. Bishop c6. Now we get, obviously, it is undefended. You capture this pawn. You kick this, this rook. Makes sense. It makes sense. It's got to be said, I'm a little surprised. We'll come back to it. Okay. Bishop c6 happens. Castles. King safety is paramount. The problem with castles in this position is that you lose on the spot. You lose on the spot because next turn, white plays this move, attacking the queen, right? And if you don't immediately sack your queen for the bishop, then this bishop from g5 here sacks 2 turns into the past from the next board onto this square, which is a Tchaikovsky. This is the anti-castle bishop travel. If you don't have the pawn that is in front of the king post-castling, not on the spot because of Jurassic Queens. All right, I'm being a little, I was a little flippant. It was a little editorializing there, but my point is that your fate is sealed. Your fate is sealed. Jurassic Queen is always an option. It's true. But there isn't really too much because you can't set up a Jurassic Queen, right? White moves here. Okay, so the castle happens. White moves here. Now black can either travel this turn or set up a Jurassic Queen somewhere uncomfortable. The only place they can do so is here. Well, no, they can also move here or here. So they can travel after white travels to get the mate, which is true. There is time for Jurassic Queen. Because if, you know, you move the queen here and then your travel happens as white, then you're not checked on this board, you're checked on the other board. So black can then travel all the way back before that, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, so that's an option. Yeah, forget white's move as a travel. Exactly. Dude, I do that all the time. I do that all the time. Okay, so I don't know if this is what happens, but this is the anti-castle travel. Know it well. This is going to be in one of my tactics videos. Traveling like that raises a major red flag. Yeah, yeah. So if you could imagine a bishop time traveling to here, then on this board, there's a bishop here. So if black makes their move, and you see that this is undefended, right? That's what I was talking about, where the bishop on g8 or on f8 / f1 or do a lot of work on their home square. Then that's mate, which is really cool. Fuck! Dude, I was wondering why you would say it like that, Andre. It doesn't make sense. Why would you ever say that? Dude, I can't believe that I got. This isn't fun anymore. That's so stupid. I was humoring you. Your analysis was bad and you should feel bad. I wanted to make Andre feel included. I read his message. He stabs me in the back. You too, Brutus. Dude, this is what I get for interacting with the chat. I should just close the window. Not that that would prevent me from saying it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. You know what? That's fine. The first one's free. The first one is for your channel points, right? Good luck getting another one out of me. I'm on edge. All right? I'm on red alert. Oh my god. I mean, to his credit, under the assumption that I'm an idiot, it was a good move. This level of Maldi is perfect. This is content. Glad I could provide. Man, Andre's good. I forgot about the banned words too. This is so stupid. Yeah. I might have to do a compilation at some point, put it on the YouTube of every time I noticed that I've said it. Anyway, I'll cash, decide where you want this sub to go. Okay. So stupid. Let's finish this game. This wins for white. This is the anti-castle travel. It's going to go on one of the tactics videos that I promise I'm going to put out on the YouTube soon. It's in the works. Anyway, what am I talking about? What actually happens here? Castle happens. Rook A5. Not what I expected. Not what I expected. Keep it for Turkbot. What's the banned word? Mage. What do you think it is? Man, welcome to the stream, Mage. Mage, the banned word earlier, I said it 5 times. It was time. It's funny, I just said it again there, but I decided to put a cap. No more than 5 gift subs per banned word per stream. The new one is the same as last week. Anyway. All right, chat. I'm going to largely ignore chat till we get to the end of this game. Okay. He took this piece. Why? Excellent question. Because he can. Doesn't really give... Doesn't really give black anything, I guess. But the problem is, I mean... I don't know. It's a wasted move. Listen, it's fine. In this position, you're winning as white. You just have to know that. So it's okay. But, like, alternatively, what he might be prepping... Because now it's too late to do the bishop here. It's not the anti-castle travel. That wins material for white. You don't want to win material. You want to win the game, right? Why win material if it's useless? Hey... I said another. Andre got me. I said banned word.
Right. I just honestly, you were so animated. I just got curious. And also
yeah,
eat these.
That's it. Go for it.
You want some?
No, I'm good. Appreciate it. I gotta get through. I'm analyzing a video. Someone redeemed. Sonoy redeemed the channel point.
Flagging right now?
I'm not allowed to say that word.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just like eating in front of me during Ramadan. By saying the word that is banned.
My bad.
Similar sentiment, but it's okay. They're good, right?
These are fucking good.
I know. Enjoying these. Yeah. Flamin' hot kettle cooked Lays.
Woo! They're good.
I know, they're really good.
Alright, sorry.
Alright, okay.
Win big.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Alright, okay. Listen. What am I talking about? Yeah, now if you want to do the anti-castle travel, you have to play bishop g3, right? Sponsored stream. I wish. Lays, hit me up. I actually think bishop g3 might have been a better way to exploit castling because then it can threaten another thing just in time. That's true. Whenever you're ready to play our match, okay, I'll let you know, Mage. No, Lays. Yeah, okay. I don't know that I agree. Just play it now. There's the queen. You're just giving black time, right? So, you know, I don't think it's worth, right? Hey, Stargord is raiding with a party of 5. I don't know why I didn't play the alert. Did it play the alert? Like, can I repeat the alert? I don't know why I didn't play the alert. Hi, Samet, says Los. Hey Los, hey Gord, how's it going? We're just doing a game review. We're finishing up here. This was actually a game between Gord and Sonoy. Does this game look familiar, Gord? We're just wrapping up on this game. The alert is an illusion. I don't know why it didn't play the alert. Okay, weird. Who cares? Okay, let's get to the end of this. So I think that Rook A5 here wasted. Bishop G6 just gets to the point. You win in a turn. You let black, pull a Jurassic if they really want to. I mean, whatever. You can still go Bishop G3 to the anti-castle travel, but I think that's more to the point. Yeah. How did I do? I mean, well enough. You won the game. Look at the position. But we're trying to be critical. We're trying to look for optimality. We're trying not to lose tempo. So there are a few places you can go back and rewatch if you really want. But here, for example, I think that Bishop G6 preparing the anti-castle travel was a better move. Okay, not that any move is too bad in this situation. Okay. So you win material. Queen recaptures. Boom. Not too much to say. Bishop C6 goes ahead and recaptures the knight on D7. We win material. Again, winning the game, better than winning material. Controversial, I know. This is how I feel. Come at me. What can I say? Okay, Queen A5 now travels. There's not a whole Not, I mean, fair to say, black's on the back foot. That's just how it is. So the travel happens here. Now I have to read notation for, okay, travels back to turn 11a1. All right. Uh, but actually, I mean, still not fantastic. This queen is holding, like I said earlier, queen b3, I think, introduces critical weaknesses into white structure. I think that the way to exploit that, I think that queen b6 here actually turns the game around. I think it's all about winning. That didn't happen. In this situation, you've got the extra queen here. This bishop has already taken on b5. There's not a whole lot that you can do in time. It does look a little sketchy. Let's see how the game plays out. I'm going to reserve judgment. Let's see what black can do in this situation. White just wants to buy time. Right? White's just staying alive until they win the game. What do we do here? Rook g1. Rook g1 here makes sense. Makes sense because you want the opportunity to maybe move this knight out of the way or move this queen somewhere. If you move the knight now because you don't want it to get taken, you know, they take the other rook and then you probably lose the game. It's pretty bad. Rook g1 here sort of battens down the hatches. It's covered by the king on this square, whereas it's not on this square. Again, all you're doing is playing for time. I think this is fine. Passable. Queen b1. You're just wrecking ball, you know, forcing yourself into the position. If rook takes, then you take back, and actually you're almost in trouble. So you got to figure something out here as white. That's not this. Probably you're looking at hard to say. The other issue with this, okay, now that I look at this move a little bit closer, if you move the knight here, like in the other situation, there was knight b d2 rather than knight f d2, which prevented this from being mate. Again, this queen is here, so it's actually not the biggest deal, but suddenly if bishop here, queen takes is mate, so you have to cover in a different way, and you can't close it with the knight, right? Suddenly there's actually a bit of an issue, because if you close it with this knight, then this becomes immediate mate, and you have to second guess yourself as white a little bit. Guess who's back? It's Romad. Welcome back, Romad. It's gone. So this move a bit dangerous. Takes, and then queen here is holding. It's kind of difficult for black to mobilize their other pieces, which is crazy considering the position. Let's see what happens. Let's move forward. We spent enough time on this game. Rook recaptures, probably bishop recaptures, right? Yep. This happens. Now, I mean, this queen holds down this square, so you're not in like critical danger of immediately losing the game or anything like that. How do you leverage this position as black? Your pieces aren't coordinated. It's really difficult to do. And white's almost caught up to the present, at which point black loses. So I don't actually know that there is a way to do that. You probably have to get the queen onto this diagonal. White's got checks. I don't know. I mean, white can even pull the bishop back here whenever they please, right? Cutting off this diagonal entirely. There isn't a great way to kick this knight. Maybe next move you pull it back here. You're running out of time. I don't know. Let's see what happens in the game. Let's get to the end of this so that we can. Let's get to the end of this and then we can. You don't. I mean, the situation is dire, but we got to debrief here. Bishop b1, g3 happens. There we go. The position is officially closed. You can't get in with the queen. All is well for white. Very responsible. Activating the knight, preventing this check from being a thing, I think is super sensible. Knight bd7. I think at this point, yeah, we've caught up. This bishop is about to capture this queen and provide almost mate, probably. Kind of all roads lead to mate here for white. Okay, I think that we're closing this chapter of our 5D analysis experience. To round us out, after knight bd7, white plays a very simple knight g5, which makes sense. Now you've got these two probably going to capture on this square, right? It's not immediate mate, but it's damn close. Knight g5 happens, and then the castle happens. Again, anti-castle travel, well, not as possible now as it was before, but here we go. Castle happens now. Knight g5 from, notation's so difficult to read. -1 captures here, as we expected. King g8 takes on g7 up here rather than this guy capturing, which wastes a tempo that you don't need to waste. No, the king, sorry, let me see what's going on here. King g8, g7, never mind. That's not what happens. The king just recaptures, because why would you not do that? This queen goes to f6 to defend as best as she can, right? On 0L now, we have g5 here is basically mate. And if you could provide a check here, then it would be totally mate. You can't quite do that yet. I wonder if you have... No, you really don't. I mean, its only move is queen takes knight here, right? It's forced. Did I do that right? Knight f3, g5, bishop b5, c6. Okay, so captures the pawn here. Here, okay, this is only move. So that happens. Then the killing blow, we have g5 here is mate. And the Chad, king f3, ends the game. Okay. I mean, stuck the landing. Style points here at the end, for sure. This was optimal. This was optimal. Very well spotted, Gord. What an analysis. That was like an hour to analyze that one game. I hope we had fun. Andre, let me know where you want the sub to go. Can't believe this shit, but well played. This was good. I think we learned a lot. I think this was actually a really interesting game to watch. There were opportunities here for both sides to get in, which made it really exciting. Very excited to watch this in full. Hell yeah. King f3, brilliant. King f3, double exclam. Every day of the week. Very well played to both of you. There were some really good ideas on both sides.